What's going on, guys? Stefan with you, S&E's Garage. Today we are here in our 2010 JKU Wrangler, and we're going to address a clicking noise from under the vehicle in four-wheel drive. I'm going to show you exactly what the issue is, and I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. So first and foremost, let's go ahead. We already went ahead and put it in four-wheel drive. I'm going to stick you down here, and I'm going to drive around a little bit and let you hear it. So now that you guys heard the noise, let's go ahead, let's go back by the garage. I'm going to show you exactly what that noise is and what you need to do to fix it. Alright guys, so we're here under the Jeep. Now I went ahead off camera numerous times when I've heard this noise, and I've checked my front U-joints in the front differential, which is a Dana 30, and they are tight as can be. There is no issue there. I've checked them so many times I've lost count. We hear the noise right under where we're sitting, more towards the front. So we went ahead and we checked this front drive shaft U-joint here. This one's good, but this style drive shaft up by the transfer case here uses a constant velocity joint, which is where our problem is. Number one, you can see all the grease that's slung around here on the heat shield from this drive shaft, and then if we grab it and twist, you can hear it. It's hard to hear. So we're going to go ahead and replace this drive shaft with an updated unit, and I'm going to show you exactly what we purchased. So what we have here is an updated, beefed up Spicer drive shaft. It's going to be Spicer part number 104467. I'm going to go ahead and link this down in the video description below. You are also going to need a new yoke for your transfer case, and it's going to be super easy to install. So we bought this used, but in good condition. We paid $300 for this. New, they go for around $550, $600. So when I bought it, I just went ahead, like I said, I checked all of my universal joints. Everything looks good, and they still actually look relatively new. So this is not really that used. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to climb under the Jeep, and we're going to start taking off all of the bolts here that connect the front drive shaft to the transfer case first. They look to be 8mm, and there is a bunch of them. So we're just going to go ahead and get them all out, and then we'll tackle the front ones on the front differential. So on this drive shaft, there's supposed to be a boot here. You can see the clamp for it there. The boot's completely gone, and this joint is extremely dirty and likely extremely worn. So what I ended up doing is I took these 4 flange bolts out. They're 15mm. That goes to the front diff. And that basically enabled me, because the transfer case is in two-wheel drive, is to spin this drive shaft and remove all of these 8mm bolts. So now what we have to do is we have to get up here by the transfer case, and we have to remove that that yoke basically, and replace it with the yoke over there on the cement. So I got to figure out what size socket that is. Probably going to use a 1/2" impact with an extension, and I'm going to stick my pry bar in here like this to hold this in place while I impact it out. That way it's not spinning. I could very well put this into four-wheel drive and do it that way, but then I'm transferring all of that impact in through the transfer case chain, and I don't want to damage it. So if I can get away with leaving it in two-wheel drive to get that flange off, I will, or that yoke off. Alright guys, we went ahead and removed this yoke. It was a 32mm, and now we can go ahead. We're going to clean off these, basically the mating surface here for the seal, and we're going to go ahead and reinstall this. Guys, we went ahead and cleaned off this seal. Some people recommend putting RTV on these splines. I never have. I've never had a leak, so I'm not going to. We're just going to go ahead and slide this yoke on, and then we're going to use our 32mm nut, and we're going to zip it back on. It really wasn't on that tight. I didn't even need to use the pry bar to hold the yoke. I basically just grabbed it with my hand, so it really wasn't on there that tight, and we're not going to bother torquing it to a spec. We're just going to zip it on, and then we're going to go ahead and start installing the drive shaft. I am going to grease it before I put it in. We're going to have a grease fitting here, 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 and here. We're going to go ahead, load that up with grease, and then we're going to put it in as soon as we get this yoke in. I just wanted to touch on this very quickly. The nut that you remove from your stock transfer case will not fit into the yoke. So make sure that the yoke kit that you buy, I'm going to link one below, that will come with a new nut that will fit in here, because I had to go crazy trying to find one of these because I bought this used along with that drive shaft. So we're going to go ahead, slide this yoke into the transfer case, and then we're going to go ahead and zap this bolt down with this nut. Alright guys, so we have all 4 of our bolts here started on the yoke, and what I went ahead and did is I just have that flange resting on the diff, and that's allowing me to spin the drive shaft here. So I already tightened these 2 down. What I'm going to do now is spin the drive shaft so that it's right about here, and I'm going to engage the transfer case into 4-wheel drive, and that's going to lock this front yoke here, and it's going to allow me to torque these 2 down to good and tight. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then once those are tight, we're going to line those up, put those in, and then we're pretty much done. So after that, we'll take it for a ride and see if our noise is gone. Alright guys, so here's how she should look, all nice and greased. We got no noticeable play here on anything. Everything's tight. Let's go ahead, try our 4-wheel drive and see if it's any better. Alright guys, we're back here in the backyard with our new drive shaft. It would appear that our noise is gone. Alright, we're just going for a ride around the block real quick, listening for any abnormal vibrations. And other than the noise from our new light bar, which is a little bit annoying, I don't seem to feel any driveline vibrations up to 45 miles an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and call this fixed.